Since my last video, the kids have gone back to school. My youngest son, Corey, who's 8 years old, I have deregistered. I looked up home education and basically it's completely legal to remove your child from the system. You've got to educate them, obviously, but then I've been educating my children since the get-go. I've come up against a lot of opposition because we do all have that same education and we do all truly believe that there is nothing that can be done about it, and that if you're not doing what you're told to do, what you should be doing, everybody point and laugh, everybody bring them down, pull them out of it, make them see sense. Obviously, for the last few years, I've been on an experiment where I've booked social trends, but I don't want to spend my time brewing negative energy because there's no point to it. It comes down to the uber simple thing that we are all part of a collective energy and we all make this universe good or bad, and which is why we're constantly fed negatives, because then they get away with it. Everybody knows that there is something that is wrong with this world, but we can't put our finger on it because our brains aren't used for what they're meant to be used for. We're not educated in the correct way. We're made to remember things, so we don't have the mental capacity to be sitting there thinking, well, what is this about and what's going on there? To change this world for the benefit of everybody, we just need to stop forcing every generation that comes along to be identical as we were and identical to each other. My eldest son he's gone up to big school actually. His dad wouldn't entertain anything like homeschooling. He wants him to grow up and earn money. So that I couldn't do anything about. But when we dropped him off at school and picked him up, every child looks identical to every other child. What I'm doing with Corey is I have the opportunity to teach him right from wrong, instead of kings and queens are fab, war is great and is all there's ever been and all there ever will be, and stuff like that. Obviously, maths, English, your basics, he'll get. End of. I want him to have a good grasp of the English language because I want him to be able to formulate sentences and make his point coherent and logical. About 10 years now, I've been ripping out bits out of magazines and stuff. Never got round to filing them, like news pieces, stuff like that. So Corey and I are about to begin Ubermass project of the year, and what we're going to do is set up a filing system, get everything together, put it in the separate folders, correlate it, come up with logical reasons of how particular things have panned out and how they interact with other things. I don't just have folders on war and political corruption, say. I've got folders on healthcare issues, people who have really good abilities, people that inspire me and whatever. So he's going to be learning basically about the real world, and it won't be what everybody's got to learn. There is no logic in breeding everybody to be identical and then expecting any kind of change. What we need to do is to stop force feeding to our babies exactly what we had to learn, because it never did me any harm. When I was at school, I seriously disliked it. Worst years of my life. When I left school, found out I loved learning. When I wasn't being taught it, whether I wanted to know it or not, and I actually could go out and say, oh, I want to know about this, I learnt it. So that is how I'm going to teach Corey. I'm going to teach him the way that I have learnt how to learn. Say you wanted to know how a car engine worked. You walk past somebody who's got their head under the car bonnet and you said, oh, how does this work? They went, oh, here you go, this bit goes here. You're going to take it in because you want to know it. If, however, you've just been dragged out of bed, put there, and they're like, right, remember this, or else, you've not got then that love for learning it. You've not got that desire to want to know the ins and outs. I don't use my brain in the way that they train us to use our brains. I don't just remember facts and figures. To illustrate, when I first started ripping these bits out of these magazines, I said to myself, I haven't got a clue why I'm doing this. I just know I've got to, and I know that one day it will make sense. This is this point in my life where I can say this is the point that I looked at back then and said I would reach. Because now it does make sense. And I've got 10 years worth of proof to be able to correlate things together and just basically say, look, here's what you need to know. Look at this, look at this, look at this. This tells the story. Here's your proof that I'm not making this shit up. Our world is sick, and we stick it because we're educated to stick it from the age of 4. My son is going to become an adult not having that. His brain won't be wired identically to everybody else's. He will have learnt things by asking questions, by finding out what his own particular talents and abilities are and having them nurtured and pandered to, rather than you've got to sit here for this length of time and you've got to remember exactly the same as everybody else. You have to be identical, and it is so that when people like me pip up and say, excuse me, don't you think there's a better way that we could do it, that everybody, as they have with me, dives on and says, don't go against the system. We are petrified of being not the same as everybody else. Well, guess what? My son is not going to be the same as everybody else. And when we do that with more children, we have a revolution without a shot fired. This world will change. It is us that say it won't change. But our children, if we don't just herd them through the gates and so they come out bitter and twisted like we did at the other end into a no-hope world, what have we got to look forward to if we don't stop this? And it is as easy as just not doing it. To one generation, you've got a changed world, you've got free thinkers, you've got people that care about each other before themselves. Like for instance, on the bus coming back the other day from town, he had a packet of hip-toe shoes, got off the bus, he went round, picked all his little wrappers up, put them in the bin on the lamppost when we got off the bus. That's not how we're bred to behave. But that's how I'm going to teach him. That's the education that I've taken him out of school for. Corey is going to grow up understanding his place on the planet, why he's here, and how we can change things. What needs to be changed. How we can do that. And more importantly, most importantly, he's going to learn to want to do that for his fellow man. I've nurtured that natural love in him for the last 8 years, and he's already an amazing human being. He's not going to have that constant everyday peer pressure. Oh, I'm not doing as well as so-and-so. Oh, he keeps telling me I'm happy and confident and successful, but I don't feel like that. What's going on in my head? Why aren't I happy? He's already lighter in his mood, happier. He's a happy boy. He skips and dances in the street. Whereas before we were like, oh, I know that I've done the right thing. I've done it for him, not for me. And I've done it for my planet. We have to change our attitudes towards each other and towards our home planet. Let's put our minds together and come up with logical solutions instead of just going, oh, they said this on BBC News, that's what the answer is. All we've got to do is listen to the people like me who are coming with logic, truth and love. And once we do that and stop believing them up there, it's going to be fab. Stop listening to the bad guys. Listen to your heart.